You could say that Lexus, they're undergoing a bit of a renaissance. First, they came out with the new IS Sport Sedan, and then they followed that up with the new RC Sport Coupe. Those cars completely changed our opinion about Lexus. Well, now they have this. This is the new NX 200T. It is based on the Toyota RAV4, but pretty much the only thing it has in common with that car is the size. One of the most shocking things about this car, other than the fact that it doesn't actually contain any wood trim, is that it comes with Lexus's first use of a turbocharged 4-cylinder. That's right, this baby is turbocharged. Under that hood is a 2-liter turbo. It's got 4 cylinders and it puts out 235 horses, 258 pound-feet of torque.
That impressively spec'd engine is packaged in a sleek and muscular shell that carries forward Lexus's current design trend. It employs strong, sharp curves and has a wide, reassuring stance. The aggressive design does have one downside though, and that can be found in the back seat.
The back seat has got plenty of leg room. However, for a 6-footer, it is a little tight back here.
Seats fold down with a 60-40 split. The trunk has plenty of room for cargo, plus a full-size spare is hiding under the floor. The car we're driving today is a pre-production model. Because of this, the exact feature combination you see here may vary from what is available at your local AutoNation dealer. This NX features blind spot monitoring as well as parking assist radars. The NX starts at only $34,000.
So, all new Lexus, let's give it a try. The first thing I notice, there's not a single piece of wood. None. Almost every Lexus always has at least some little trim piece that has a little bit of wood on it. This one, not a thing. Instead, we have this kind of textured inlay, which actually looks really nice. It's not wood, it looks kind of reminiscent of carbon fiber, but not really carbon fiber. And then we have a leather stitch trim pretty much all over the place. On the seats, center, front, dash. Nice soft touch dash. Oh, the leather on the dash here, really nice. And then of course the steering wheel, just that wonderful Lexus leather. Kudos for them. I think that this car is actually the best realization of Lexus's design philosophy right now. It has a lot of edges and a lot of swoops, but they come off on this car as looking very powerful, very strong, and meaningful. They're not just kind of a bunch of useless gobbledygook. I think this car looks very smart, and I would love to drive this car every day. Compact crossovers are super hot right now, and there's good reason for that. They store a lot of stuff, they get you pretty much anywhere, they're economical to run, and they're super easy to drive around town. Basically, they are a best case scenario for a universal vehicle. Let's go ahead and turn the car on and see how it is. Push button to start. Unlike we saw in the RC, the little sport coupe that uses the LFA-inspired sliding gauge cluster, this car uses a much more traditional layout. It has TAC on the left, speedo on the right, and a multi-function color display in the middle. If you go to I, we can see what the current MPGs are, which looks like they're currently at 25.3. And to be honest, I have not been trying to get good MPGs, so that's actually pretty good. Scrolling down, you can see eco indicator, tire pressure monitors with actual numbers, not just on or off, but it actually says 32, 33, 32, 32, primo. Then you can go to the nav if you want your nav instructions down here. Right now it shows a compass. And then I have music and warnings and then custom configuration. If I want to configure what my display looks like, I can do that all right there. Very straightforward, very traditional, super easy. Let's look at what we got. Now, the first thing that I noticed here is this touchpad, which has replaced the traditional Lexus joystick. I first saw this appear in the RC, and it's pretty straightforward, pretty easy to use. It's not quite like an iPhone in the fact that you can't double finger swipe left and right and up and down. But in nav mode, let's go to the nav, you can use pinch and pull to zoom in and out, which is nice. It's kind of nice when multiple things use the same interface. It becomes very familiar. Like all Lexuses, this gives me a home option, which gives me 3 sections that I can program to be whatever I want. Right now I have map on the right, audio on the top left, and then I have weather in the bottom left. If I want to change that bottom one from weather to, say, fuel consumption, I just select fuel consumption, mouse over it, and hit enter, and then it takes it. Very cool. Super customizable, very nice. Aircon is kind of nice. They've elevated it and they've pulled it out a little bit more to kind of break up the center section visually, and I think it's actually very effective. I love it when manufacturers keep the aircon traditional, because honestly, that is the quickest way. There's a reason why so many people use this setup. It makes sense. It's easy. And honestly, with aircon, you want it to be easy. Automatic transmission. This car goes down into drive, very easy, goes over, there's a manual option. I don't know how many speeds this car has, so I think we're gonna have to take it for a drive and find out. And away we go. Now the thing with the turbo that you gotta look out for is a thing called turbo lag. Turbos are basically naturally aspirated motors up until the turbo can spool up, because it takes exhaust gases from the engine to spool the turbo, which then acts as a compressor and forces more air into the engine. Now, the downside with that is that the engine has to spool up to a certain RPM before you can get that rush. So let's go ahead and see how this one is. Right now we're in standard drive mode, and 3, 2, 1. Oh, it was about 3,000 RPM before that turbo kicked in, which is probably how they can get all that torque and all that horsepower out of a small 2-liter, is that they've actually gone with a fairly sizable turbo. Now, the downside of a sizable turbo is that you do get a little bit of lag, but that's okay. When you expect it and you can anticipate it, you can drive with it. Let's try this again. Yeah, and then the power comes on. You know, it's enough power to make this car spunky, but not ridiculous. Now, this one in particular is the front-wheel drive version of the car. It is available both with all-wheel drive as well as in an F-Sport package, if you want the sportier model. Like all modern Lexuses, this car has the little Sport normal eco dial right in the middle here. We can flick it over there and throttle response will improve and power is maximum. Put it all the way to eco, the throttle will be dulled down to keep heavy feet from sipping too much gas. Still, it has spunk when you need it though. That is the truth. Okay, so now we're on an open road. Let's go ahead and punch it. We'll go to manual. We'll start shifting up, and very little body roll, very nicely controlled. Go ahead and see how many gears we have there. 5, 6. Looks like this car has a maximum of 6 speeds. It is a 6-speed automatic transmission with manual override. And it is really a nice transmission. Actually, I'm pretty pleased with this one. Now, the funny thing about this car is it is really Lexus's attempt, both this and the RC, are Lexus's attempt to attract younger buyers. The average buyer for Lexus vehicles is on the old side, and they know it. So they need to be able to provide cars that are both luxury, but also really fun to drive. Younger buyers these days, they don't really want to buy a living room on wheels. And honestly, when you think of Lexus, it's kind of easy to think of the old LS400. However, Lexus is really coming on strong in the slightly younger, sportier market. And this NX, it just says so much about what the brand wants to do. This is a spunky turbo engine. It's got actually really good suspension. It's fun to drive, it's well equipped, and it's at a price that totally makes sense. I think this NX is really the first small crossover I kind of want to buy. Seriously, I really like this one. This has been our first look at the 2015 Lexus NX 200T, a brand new entry from Lexus in the compact crossover market. Does it have what it takes? Yeah, I think it does. I'm Ryan Douthit for AutoNation. We'll see you again next time.